the last of the, I don't know. It's stupidity. It's straight up stupidity that we have to overcome and get over. And if we don't do it, trust me, the new generation isn't about it anyway, and so many of us are passing on anyway. We'll either just fade away, or we can recover from our stupidity and make our lifelong sacrifice that so many have made. Because I honor my elders. I look at all in the civil rights movement, all in the church, all in our nation of Islam, and I say, wow, see, if our elders, if they can really do this one thing before the evil accident of time comes, then they will absolutely be honored in the next generation to come, and they would have secured absolutely the transition of this generation and paved the way for us to go into the future. I hope that our teachers and our civil rights leaders and all of these great, brilliant men and women will come together and not leave that on us that are in our 40s or in our 30s or even the 20s to do, because it would be much more difficult. See, the fathers of each of these homes, in each of these organizations, in each of these denominations, you see, they're the ones that should pick up the, what do you call it? Not the hammer, but that big sledgehammer, and just tear the wall down. And then bring us to the table. I'm talking about young people now, see? So that we can witness the settling of differences of the elders. Wow. And the pledge of allegiance. You see, that we are in solidarity to suffice the needs of our community, which only we can solve. The government can't do it. President-elect Barack Obama cannot do it. That burden is on our shoulders to do.
This leads me to the next question.
I'm sorry, these answers are long.
No, that's beautiful. That's very nice. Recently, our brother Barack Obama made history by becoming the first black president-elect of the United States of America. As you might be aware, the Honorable Salas Muhammad has issued an official position about the Barack Obama presidency in the form of a press release that was read by our Vice President, Minister Ishmael Abdul Salam, which was filmed at our headquarters mosque in Atlanta, Georgia, and put out on YouTube. Also, the latest Muhammad Speaks centerfold has the complete press release in it. The Honorable Salas Muhammad is opposed to the Barack presidency, inasmuch as Brother Barack is not an Afro-descendant, meaning he's not descended from over 400 years of slavery here in the Western Hemisphere diaspora. Do you think that he can fully represent the best interests of black descendants of enslaved Africans in America and defend the human rights of Afro-descendants, obtaining a full and complete freedom for them, as your father wrote under What the Muslims Want, number 1?
Well, everyone, again, is entitled to their opinion. But the responsibility in the expression of our views and our opinions becomes greater when we are in positions of leadership, because now my view and my personal view is now duplicated, you know, and shared by those who revere me, who respect me, who admire me, who follow me. So I have to always understand in a position of leadership how my view affects others. With that said, I believe, again, that we should be less judgmental, because I have a view. But see, once the view is expressed in a judgmental kind of way, now I lock myself into it, which if it doesn't come out to be, as I have said it to be, it's harder to take words back. See, it's not what goes in, it's what comes out. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, think 5 times before you speak. I think that we're living in a period where we have to be very, very careful. The scripture warns us, on what we say and the usage, of our mouths, and to be careful not to cast judgment. Barack Obama is a beautiful, in my opinion, a beautiful young black man. He doesn't come from he's not a descendant of slaves, so he doesn't have our orientation, our experience. He doesn't come from our suffering, but he's still a member of the original and aboriginal people of the earth. So just because he doesn't come up, from my particular and specific experience, but he's still a brother. He's still identified with black people, no matter how white his mother was. See? What am I saying? I don't know what Barack Obama is to accomplish in the scheme of God's plan. I know that he's there because God permitted it, and it was only by the hand of Allah that he could have defeated the odds and all that was brought against him to win the highest position in the land. God allowed it to happen. So again, I'll be honest with you, this has always been what I have taken as a guiding principle. It really does not matter to me what President-elect Barack Obama has to accomplish or do. What I mean by that, him or any other person, see, it doesn't matter to me. Once I know that Maliki Yom Medin is in power, master of the Day of Judgment, that everybody that's playing any kind of role, you see, is playing it by the permission of Allah, either out of his permissive will or active will, but this was the active will of God. So, hey, this is Allah's doing. Let me just continue to study, continue to watch, continue to be patient. I don't think it's on Barack Obama to give us reparations. Why would we expect? I agree with Brother Silas. You can't expect. I mean, just because a black man is in that office, it's still the office of the presidency of this United States of America and its government. Okay? You can't expect that one man is going to change everything in one term or one administration or in two. But that's not for us. That's not our concern. In any case, it's not our concern. But if we feel that we have someone who has an ear to our community, the question becomes, how do we use that office, see, to accomplish our goal. How do we now make that demand of reparations in such a way that there will be a more favorable response? It's not so much what I think that what he's going to do or not do. It's about what we have to do that would make anyone sitting in that Oval Office respond to our needs. That is the program of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We put the demand on ourselves. And like President Roosevelt, when he had the brother who worked with the labor at that time, Philip A. Randolph, after Philip A. Randolph had laid out a list of things that he wanted the government to do, and the president pulled out a cigar and he lit his cigar and offered it to him and the others that were with him. He says, I agree with everything that you have laid out. Now, Philip, this is what I need you to do for me. Make me. Make me. Well, what is he saying? I may have the very desire to help you and your people, but you have to make me or anyone that sits in that office. How do we make them? We do exactly what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. We've got to love ourselves, begin to show respect for ourselves, begin to do something for ourselves. And I guarantee you that once we do that, then we will force those in government to respond to us in a much more favorable and productive manner. Reparations is really not something that the government can ever give us. We have to take that to God. In the scriptures, there's nowhere that you read of any government that's repairing the damage done to a people that they have oppressed. Help me now. It's God who's repairing the damage. It's God that ultimately will give us the reparations. How is reparations? What can the government give to a people after 400 years of mistreatment? What's the dollar amount? If the government today said, fine, from the executive branch all the way down, they say, we apologize, we're sorry. Well, how much do you want us to write? Nobody's prepared to give a figure, because there is no dollar figure that can repair the damage. God has already given us the solution and the program for reparations in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That is what we should be actively working ourselves in, that we will receive from God the reparations. For the governments of this world, they have to be forced into doing anything for us. But we can begin forcing their hand by doing exactly what God has given for us to do. Does that kind of make sense? I don't know if I answered it completely.
Yes, sir, because this leads right into my last two questions, and you went right into that. As you know, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that we as black people should have a land that we could call our own. We should separate from the white slave masters of the United States of America. Also, in the back of Muhammad Speaks newspaper published by your father, under the section called What the Muslims Want, number 4, asked for reparations for 400 years of slavery. What are your thoughts, viewpoints, stance, and feelings on continuing on that path of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in terms of completely separating from white people into a nation and land that we could call our own, obtaining reparations in the form we choose in order to be a completely independent nation equal to the other nations of the earth?
I believe that call for separation, I think it comes in point number, is it 5, of what the Muslims want and believe?
I think it's number 4.
Number 4. But look what it comes after. What is it? What's the first?
First is full and complete freedom.
What's the second?
I believe it's equality or justice.
Justice.
See?
Okay.
See, he's laying down conditions. So he's saying to this nation, if you will not grant us a full and complete freedom, if you will not give us justice, if you will not give us equality of opportunity, then, see, there has to be a divorce here. There has to be a separation. See? The process of separation has already begun. The children of Israel have already started their exodus out of Egypt. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad started that, coming out of her names, her culture, her religion, see, her holidays, her traditions, her culture, her way of life. It's already started, see, the transformation, see, of the mind of the former slave. The slave mentality is already being uprooted and destroyed completely. So the separation is already there. We're looking at it on the physical, but we're not even there yet. If the government said, I tell you what, you all take 2 states, govern yourselves. We haven't shown that we can govern ourselves in our own community. What would become of the new territories under black rule? Oh, please, let's not even go there. What am I saying? I'm not making mockery. What I'm saying is, we must prepare ourselves, see, as the messenger taught us. Qualify ourselves, see, for self-governance, see, and it will start when we do the first thing. Learn to love each other, learn to respect each other, learn to dialogue with one another. Can you imagine in our present state, with all of the factions and all of the divisions that we spoke about earlier, see, religiously, socially, economically, all of a sudden you see all like a mass of black people, like in the 10 Commandments, exiting out of Illinois and Indiana and Missouri and going, I don't know, to Mississippi. Oh my God, how long would we survive? First argument, who's going to be the leader? It's going to be the first argument. Who's going to be the leader? Oh my, while the masses of the people would be, we're hungry. we have no homes. I'm putting it in a comical way, but the point is that the 4th condition is predicated on the first 3. And so we want separation. Yes. But. What do the scriptures teach us? Does not Allah say in the Quran that He takes the kingdom from whom He pleases and gives it to whom he pleases. Is it not written that the slave would become the master in the house where he was sold in bondage? See? The whole country belongs to those who built it. You can't just put us over in one state anymore. As the minister in one of his speeches, that's probably what they should have done back in the 50s. But now with the suffering, you see, that means the cost gets higher and higher. You know, back then, you know, maybe 1 or 2 states would have solved this, but now, but we're growing, we're maturing. And I think that we have to continue to demand the separation. But when you see the way, they came out of her. This is the book of Exodus, you know, the children of Israel. A mixed group. See? We're all mixed. You telling me about how you're Ukrainian, but you have Indian, you have Arab, Russian. Clearly by my color, I mean, maybe some will say, you know, what was in Elijah Muhammad or Mother Tanetta, but we have the blood of many members of the human family. So I think that we will continue to evolve with this whole idea of separation. And we certainly need to be separated in terms of the education of our people, the teaching and the training, without the interference of our former slave master, just to build us up so that we can come to the table as a self-respecting, self-loving, equal member of the human family. So I think that we have a ways to go in terms of securing, you know, land that we can call our own. But the first land that has to be conquered and that we got to take ownership is this right here. Because this is from the earth. So let's start with this land. And let's start the separation of the ruling forces and the ruling mind that's on this land, that Allah sit on the throne and reign supreme in this land, this kingdom. See? We look so much to the outside, but we are not working on the inside where the real change is made, so that that which is external or in your environment reflects the transformation that takes place on the inside.
So, last question. How do you view the Honorable Silas Muhammad taking our fight for freedom, justice, and equality, a nation we could call our own, and reparations to the United Nations arena on behalf of all Afro-descendants?
I commend him for doing that. He, along with a very beautiful brother whom I've had the pleasure of working with here in Chicago, Dr. Conrad Worrell, who is the chairman of NBUF, National Black United Front, has also been in Geneva and at the United Nations. I believe Brother Silas and Dr. Conrad have crossed or have even joined efforts. I don't know to what extent. But we know that we have a voice that comes from Brother Silas, that comes from other members of our community that are putting this issue before the international court and the international body. And I think that that is good. The minister has always commended Brother Silas Muhammad for his effort in this area. And we encourage him and those with him to continue to keep the plight of 40 million here in America alive, in those international arenas and bodies, because like so many, we are viewed as a people who have already secured citizenship, human rights, slavery has been abolished, and so sometimes they don't understand, how can you all, you had Jackie Robinson, you had Joe Louis, y'all have integrated with them, and they have allowed you to become the boxing champion and win the NBA championships and NFL, and now you've got golf now. I mean, my God, what do you all want? You've got a guy who's got to the highest position. They don't know and understand what exists in this country and the effects of 400 years. And it's a shame that other people's cry, those that survived the Holocaust, those that survived the war and the human atrocities that were committed in Asia, China, Japan, all of these people, their voices have been heard, their grievances addressed through these international avenues and arenas and assemblies, and governments have given reparations. What about us? It's that awful mark in history that people do not want to deal with, because as the minister said recently, and we know it, see, it's not just the United States that has to pay into this, if you will, that has to bear the burden of reparations, but it's Europe, it's England, it's France, it's Portugal, it's Spain, it's Holland, it's all of it's even Africa, it's the world's problem, and the world, see, so we're pressing the case against the nation that has enslaved us, but it's everyone had a hand. The church, I mean, look how many, all of the companies, I mean, it's in this. That's why when they look at it, they know that the wealth that has been built up in the world today can all be traced to this free labor that took place with blacks in America, not for a few decades, but for 3 centuries of chattel slavery. My God. I mean, if you put yourself in their shoes, listening to a case like that, you will try to find a way to kind of, because it's too much. It's overwhelming. It's overbearing. It really is. But we should continue this very noble effort to keep the issue of reparations in front of the UN, its General Assembly, it's the human rights, I forget what it's called exactly, that they have. It should stay there, and it's something that should be supported.
All right, Minister Ishmael, I appreciate your time once again, and I'd like to thank you for granting us the interview and taking some time out of your day for us. Is there any closing remarks you'd like to make?
Thank you so much for having me, dear brother. I pray that the words that Allah bless me to say will find a resting place in those who will listen to the interview or read it in print, and that we grow now. That it's time for us to grow beyond yesterday into today. Your brother from the East wants to know, what are you doing for yourself today? Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you.